What would you do if the quiet janitor everyone ignored suddenly turned out to be the only person willing to risk his life for a boss who barely knew his name, and the next morning, she shocked him by refusing to pretend it never happened? If you love stories with twists, emotion, suspense, class tension, secret pasts, and impossible choices, hit subscribe, because what you're about to read will grab your heart and refuse to let go. Marcus Hale had worked at Ellington Technologies for 3 quiet years, the kind of job where people walked past him like he was the furniture, the kind of place where polished glass floors reflected every executive's ambition but never reflected the humanity of those who kept the building running. Yet Marcus came every night with steady hands, a soft hum under his breath, and a resilience forged by years of disappointments, losses, and lonely victories nobody ever saw, which is why he didn't think twice when he noticed his boss, CEO Cassandra Ellington, stumbling out of the side entrance at nearly midnight, heels in hand, head foggy with expensive whiskey from a board celebration she didn't even want to attend, because Cassandra had spent the last year fighting to keep her company alive while her board doubted her, investors doubted her, and even she doubted herself. But tonight the weight finally broke her posture and pushed her onto a quiet alley where 3 men stepped from the shadows with the sly confidence of those who thought the night belonged to them. Marcus, sweeping in the courtyard, saw the danger before she did, and something old in him, some instinct from years he never talked about, ignited like a fuse, propelling him across the pavement as the thugs closed in, their soft threats curling into the air until Marcus, normally silent, exploded into motion, intercepting the first swing, twisting the attacker's arm, driving his shoulder into another man's chest, protecting Cassandra with a precision far too sharp for a simple janitor, and when the last thug stumbled away cursing, Cassandra blinked at Marcus with a mix of awe, confusion, and shame because she couldn't remember the last time she even said his name, but in that shaky moment under a streetlight, she clutched his sleeve and whispered, "Don't leave," and he didn't, not until she was safely in the company car, head in her hands, promising, slurring almost, that she wouldn't forget what he just did, though both of them assumed she would because people like her never remembered people like him, except this time, something inside Cassandra was too shaken to let it fade. Marcus arrived next morning expecting the same invisibility, expecting Cassandra to walk past him with sunglasses, a headache, and selective amnesia, but instead, she was waiting by the lobby desk, waiting for him, and when she said, "Marcus, my office." Now, every employee in the lobby froze because no one had ever heard her say a janitor's name, yet she led him upstairs personally, not delegating, not pretending, closing the glass door behind them and staring at him like she was seeing a ghost she needed to understand, demanding an explanation he didn't want to give, questions like, "Where did you learn to fight like that?" And, "Why didn't you tell me who you really are?" But Marcus insisted he wasn't anyone special, he was just someone who didn't want harm to come to another human being, though Cassandra wasn't satisfied and kept pushing until the truth slipped out. Not in dramatic confessions but in tiny fragments she had to piece together. Marcus had once been military, then private security, then the protector for someone who died on his watch, a loss so heavy he abandoned that world and took the quietest job he could find, hoping to disappear, and Cassandra listened with a reverence she didn't offer many people, feeling her chest tighten because she recognized the familiar shape of guilt. She too had buried someone she loved, her father, whose company she inherited and whose expectations haunted her long after he was gone. So there, in the hush of her glass office, they understood each other more in 1 hour than in 3 years of shared hallways, but the world outside didn't understand at all. Rumors spiraled, jealous executives whispered, and one board member, Charles Camden, decided Marcus must be manipulating Cassandra, must be blackmailing her, must be a threat to the company, and he weaponized corporate paranoia to target Marcus, pulling strings to get him fired, even framed for the very attack he stopped, and yet Cassandra refused to let the story twist, refused to pretend Marcus was anything less than the man who saved her life, so she made a choice that stunned the entire building. She promoted him, not out of pity but out of trust, naming him her personal security advisor, overturning the board's objections, daring anyone to challenge her, which ignited a chain reaction of corporate warfare, betrayal, and whispered alliances. Meanwhile, the bond growing between her and Marcus deepened, though both of them fought it, afraid of what it meant, afraid of how fragile trust can be when built in the dark. The attacks didn't stop. Camden escalated, hiring the same thugs to break into Cassandra's home, framing Marcus again, only this time Marcus realized something chilling. These men weren't random criminals, they were tied to someone from his past, the man responsible for the death Marcus still carried like a scar. And the revelation shattered the thin boundary between Cassandra's world and his, pulling them into a conspiracy far bigger than a corporate power struggle, a plot involving stolen prototypes, insider betrayals, and a shadow network Marcus once escaped but could never outrun. Cassandra's life was now marked, Marcus's past was rising from the ashes, and together they launched a counterstrike built not on violence but on strategy, trust, and the raw honesty they finally stopped avoiding, exposing Camden in a board meeting that erupted with shock as evidence spilled onto the screens Marcus hacked together. Recordings, timestamps, money transfers, thug testimonies, every thread leading back to Camden, who tried one last desperate move by taking Cassandra hostage in the parking garage, only to meet a Marcus who wasn't afraid anymore. The fight wasn't flashy, it wasn't cinematic, it was personal, tight, breathless, ending with Camden handcuffed and Cassandra shaking as she stared at Marcus with the realization that he wasn't just the man who saved her in one night, he was the man who kept showing up, over and over, even when the world tried to erase him. And as dawn crept across the city, Cassandra told him softly but firmly, "I didn't forget. I never will," and for the first time in years, Marcus let someone see him, not the janitor, not the protector, but the man who deserved to be remembered, and though neither of them knew what the future held, they walked out of that garage side by side, no more pretending, no more silence, only the beginnings of something they both thought life had taken from them long ago.